guys? You're listening to K-Talk Radio. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. I'm your host, Yoshi Shiraki, and today the topic is flipping houses. So if you've ever thought about getting started in the fixing and flipping business, you know there's so many good shows on television that you can watch where these guys make large chunks of cash. And we've had, as I mentioned before, tons of flippers on my show here on K-Talk Radio. Most of my guests that I've invited are flippers themselves. You know, they do a lot of different things, and when I've invited them as a guest, they have talked about different topics outside of flipping. But I would say the most of the individuals that have been on the show, and some of them are probably the biggest flippers in the state of Utah, have been on our show, and we'll talk about flipping a little bit. They'll give away great nuggets, but today we're going to dive in right now, especially right here in this segment, more of the detail of fixing and flipping properties. So here's how basically it goes down. Okay, so the biggest right now, I would say that the deal is king. You've heard the term cash is king, right? Who has the cash can do the deal. But cash doesn't get you the deal necessarily, right? You could have the cash, but if you don't have a deal, you're not going to be able to do anything with that cash. Right now in this hot market, and I would say back in the day when the market wasn't so hot, there were deals everywhere back in 08 and 2009, and when we were going through that major recession. Cash was king back then because there were a lot of people who didn't have cash. So cash was king back then, deals were not king. It's actually reversed now, in my personal opinion. A lot of people have cash, but they don't have deals. So they can't do a deal. They got the cash, but what good is the cash if you can't invest it and find the deal? So right now, deals are king. So I would say, detail number one, step-by-step on fixing and flipping houses. The very first thing that you're going to want to start to educate yourself on is how to find the deal. Because if you can find the deal, I guarantee you can find the cash very, very easily. It's out there. There's a lot of real estate investing associations out there who you can go and become affiliated with. I used to sit on the board of the Salt Lake Real Estate Investing Association for 5 years. I'm currently the vice president of the Utah Valley Real Estate Investing Association. We meet in Pleasant Grove once a month, and then we have a luncheon once a month. So we meet twice a month, hypothetically. And so I'm very involved in the real estate investing associations here locally, and I still attend the Salt Lake Real Estate Investing Association. I just don't sit on the board anymore, just due to lack of time. I'm now a father, and I want to spend more time with my children, and this was back before I had children, so I could basically give more of my time to these different associations and other associations as well. But nonetheless, number one key is to get educated on how to find these opportunities. Because if you can find them, you can definitely find the money, you can definitely find a partner, you can definitely find a lender. If the deal is good, the money will easily come. You just now have to know where to go look for the money, and it's not hard. It's any of these associations that I just mentioned. You just show up and have your deal on a piece of paper and present it to a bunch of people, and before you leave that night, somebody will be willing to buy it off you or partner with you. I mean, it moves quick, and it happens that fast. You get a good deal, it basically moves quick. So basically, detail number one, step by step, is how to find these opportunities. Now, we'll dive into it a little bit, but just because this is an hour show, we don't have time to dive. How to find deals is probably a good 2 to 3 hour conversation minimum, if not longer, on all the different ways that all these investors, myself included, in the Salt Lake area will find these undervalued, underpriced, in desperate need of repair properties. But the first one, basically, I would say the most popular one, and I'll share you the most popular one, but that one happens to consist of a budget. You're going to need a marketing budget. But the one that's the most popular is a mailing campaign. You're going to basically send a postcard, a letter, whatever you choose to mail. And you may have even received one of these postcards or letters in your mailbox before. And it just basically says to some degree that they buy houses, right? Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I buy houses in your area. If you're interested in selling, please give me a call. I mean, the message is relatively similar, but a little different for every person, whatever they write in their postcard or their letter. And what happens is, a lot of people get this postcard, the majority of them throw them away because they have no intent to sell, they have no desire to sell, but that postcard also lands in the hands of somebody who may, have just inherited grandma's house and grandma's house is super dated, or maybe it's rough, maybe it needs a new roof, maybe it's leaking, maybe it's just, whoever's house that they have ownership to, maybe it's their house, is in desperate need of repair. Not a phenomenal house maybe necessarily to put on the market, because a lot of people will come look at it and then not want to buy it because it's, you already know that this house is going to have challenges selling. But an investor, as we talked about, not that long ago, is open to buying as is. You're not going to have to worry about him getting a home inspection in many cases. You don't have to worry about him, nickeling and diming you. They're just going to buy as is. They're going to make you an offer, and it's basically a cash offer to close quickly. And I shouldn't say you don't have to worry about them nickeling and diming you. Some of them do, of course. But they're basically going to give you a number saying, this is the number I need to buy your house at for me to go in there, spend the money to buy your home, for me to spend the money to fix it up, and then this, of course, is my living. I need to have a little left over to have an income. This is the offer I'm going to be able to present to you. And, of course, you don't have to accept it. If you don't like the number, don't accept it. But if you do like the number, then it's a very easy way to sell a home. So I would say the most popular way is mailing campaigns. A lot of investors will send these letters out, and then somebody will get it who's just open to that easy way to sell. It's kind of like the car dealership method. If you think about it, you could probably sell your car and get more money than going into the car dealer and trading it in. But if you were to sell your own car, put it on KSL or Craigslist and advertise it, and then you're going to have like 50 people want to come test drive it who don't end up wanting to buy it. It takes up a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of inconvenience, and then at the end of the day, maybe somebody wants to buy it but they lowball you, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's just easier to take it to the car dealer, take less, and be done with it. That's basically what this scenario is. For some people, it's just easy. It's just easy and they want to get it done. So the most common way is definitely the mailing campaign. However, like I mentioned, you got to have a marketing budget to send all these letters out. So if you don't have a marketing budget, then my recommendation is to jump on the phone and call for sale by owners. Okay, and you're going to probably make it just like you're going to send out a lot of letters, and a lot of people are going to throw them away. But you're going to find, one or two that are opening to selling it to you. Same thing with for sale by owners. You're going to make a ton of calls. Most of them are going to say no, but you're going to find maybe one or two who are going to be open to selling it to you. So step number one is find the deal. Okay, once you found the deal, let's dive into step number two. Now, and assuming that everything's approved and you've locked it under contract. So you've got it under contract. You haven't bought it yet. Step number two is now you've got to buy it. Now you have to buy it, right? You're going to finance it. So now you need to reach out to whoever's going to assist you in the financing. And we talked about that at the beginning of the show. Do you know anyone who you can leverage private funds with, because that's cheaper? If you do, great. Now you've got an opportunity to finance the property. If you don't, then my recommendation is to start reaching out to hard money lenders so that you can understand who's going to be able to finance, and if that hard money lender is going to require you to put a down payment or not put a down payment, right? So second phase, after everything's approved, you did your due diligence. If granted you did due diligence, let's say this is all done, and now you feel comfortable moving forward. You're not backing out, you're not renegotiating. You're now at the phase where you feel comfortable or purchasing it. Step number two is to get it financed. So make sure you have your ducks lined up in row to purchase it. Okay, now you own it. So the next step is you got to go in there and fix this property up. And you've already got your rehab budget because you did that back in due diligence, right? So this is now you've owned it. You already know it's going to cost $40,000 to fix up. You've got to put together a good plan. Now, if you're kind of going to do it yourself to save money, great. I definitely recommend having a conversation, maybe chatting with some contractors, take them out to dinner, whatever you need to do, and ask them, because there is definitely an order on how you should renovate a home. You don't want to put in carpet first, hypothetically, let's just say for an example, brand new carpet, very, very first, and then have all your contractors stomp on it while they're painting, while they're doing sheetrock, and now your carpet's getting trashed, right, with sheetrock mud and tape and all that stuff. So carpet flooring is going to go in last. It's after the house has been all put together, and nobody's going to be walking on that floor anymore except for new potential buyers. Then that's hypothetically when you may want to consider putting the flooring is at the end. So there's definitely an order, and that was something I didn't know when I first started, and I just went in there and kind of guessed my way. Luckily, I was able to guess right on the flooring, but there were a lot of other things that I guessed wrong and went, oh man, I wish I would have done that first. So learn the renovation process. Okay, so now you've gone in there, you've renovated it, and now it's time to put it on the market. Your house looks gorgeous, it's beautiful, this is the time that we get to cash in and make the money. And during the due diligence process, we had already determined an ARV. We had already done that, an after repair value, but 4 months, 5 months, 6 months has now gone by since then, because it took us 4, 5, 6 months to renovate the home. And in this market that we're in today that's been increasing, it's very possible that your ARV has gone up. Now in 2009, values were going down, so you might have thought that you could have sold your house for $200,000. 6 months later, it's only worth $185 because the market was going down so quick. Today, it's a little bit different. So basically, what you're going to want to do is pull the comps again one more time to make sure that the value that you're going to put your house on the market is not gone up or down. Because in this case, if it's gone up and you list it for the price that you looked up 4, 5, 6 months ago, you may be leaving money on the table, right? So you're definitely going to want to reconfirm that value of that particular property. All right, so now you've determined the ARV of the house again, right? We've reconfirmed it, and maybe it's gone up, maybe it's gone down. A couple of things that you may want to consider now at this particular point is, are you going to do an open house? Are you going to, list it on the market at a price lower than what you think it could sell for? That strategy is very popular because it attracts a lot of attention, and then what happens is people get into a bidding war and end up basically, sometimes the house sells for more than what you're asking. So there's different scenarios on what you may want to list the property at. So that's something that you're going to have to figure out and determine, depending on how much competition's out there on the market, how many other houses are for sale. All of these good things will help you understand, do you want to just list it at top dollar? Do you want to list it a little less than top dollar, drive more attention? Do you want to get an open house? Basically all of these marketing options. And then, once you've listed it, whether you're doing it yourself or with a real estate agent, you could be a for sale by owner, you could list it with an agent, you may be an agent, whatever it is, then of course you're going to put it on the market and turn around and sell it, and hopefully sell it for a profit. So, on that note, I want to thank you all for listening to the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. This is K-Talk Radio. I'm your host, Yoshi Shiraki. And until next week, I hope you all have a spectacular rest of the day.